Bonjour et bienvenue à cette entrevue du Palais Montcalm. Mon nom est Nicolas Houle, directeur de la programmation. Aujourd'hui, j'ai le plaisir de m'entretenir avec Gavin Harrison, batteur du groupe de Pineapple Thief, qui vient tout juste de sortir l'album Versions of the Truth. Hi Gavin, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
Gavin, there's this new album of Pineapple Thief that is just out, Versions of the Truth. This is your third studio album with the band. It's a dark one, obviously linked to what is going on in the world right now, with some dreamy soundscapes and some heavy parts too. How this album came together? Did you have a clear idea of what you wanted to do?
I think the only clear idea we had was to not repeat ourselves. If it's come out a little bit darker, I guess we were feeling a bit darker. Most of the darkness is coming from Bruce's lyrics. So I don't write the lyrics. I never wanted to write lyrics. And we started in 2018 writing demos, and it just came together. We didn't have a shape. It just sort of shaped itself. I think after about 6 songs, we realized it all had a similar kind of vibe. I mean, I guess it's easy to find things to sing about in today's world.
Yes. You didn't join the band for handling only the drums duties. You're really involved in the writing. Was it an important point for you right from the start when you joined the band to have plenty of room to express yourself?
Yeah, I mean, since about the last 18 years, I've not been so interested in just playing the drums on other people's records, being a session man. I lost interest in that. I only really wanted to do collaborations where I could play the drums, but I could also suggest, hey, what about this chord? Or what about if I wrote a middle on the marimba? Or what if this was in 7/8? Or what if this was long? I wanted to make more of a contribution than just playing the drums. So right from when I met Bruce and Steve and John for Your Wilderness 3 albums ago, I got very involved because I liked the music and I wanted to be, collaborate with the writing section of it. So actually I was quite a lot more involved in Your Wilderness than people really know about.
Okay. And for you, being involved in the writing process doesn't mean having more place to have drum fills. I mean, especially on this album, there is some songs that, are delicate with a lot of space and with fewer instruments. You're really serving the song first, aren't you?
Yes, I like the concept of minimalism, and so does Bruce. My father introduced me to the idea of minimalism because he liked jazz players like Chet Baker, who could just play 1 or 2 notes and it meant everything. And later in life, I thanked my father for introducing me to minimalism, and he said it was the least he could do. So I like it when someone has an understanding of minimalism, of absolute emptiness, how powerful that can be. It's very easy to play a lot of notes and make a lot of sound and fill everything up, a wall of noise. But sometimes you can get your emotional expression over much better when there is a lot more space. And the instruments sound better when there's space. Bruce's voice sounds better when there's space. It's really a mistake to put too many things on top of each other because they start to cancel each other out. If you do a guitar and then you overdub the guitar and then you do another overdub in stereo and then you do another overdub in stereo and you have 8 guitars all playing the same thing, it actually doesn't sound more powerful. It gets weaker and weaker the more things you put on top. So if you have a good sound, whether it's the drums, the bass, the guitar, keyboards, voice, or whatever, if you have a really good sound, it needs space for people to hear it. And yeah, there are some very delicate songs on this new record, and I really like that.
Great, excellent. And I understand that you're the one who came with the visual for this album. Can you tell me more about that? How you came across this art piece and how it ended on the cover sleeve?
My partner, Hannah, her father is the artist who sadly passed away last year. And so I knew Michael, the artist, for the last 23 years, and I saw a lot of his sculpture. He's mainly a sculptor. I saw a lot of his sculptures, and Hannah would bring home these catalogue books from art exhibitions of Michael Schoenholz. And, you know, I really got to see a lot of Michael's work. And then one day, about 6 months ago, we were thinking of what can we do for a front cover. And we've been through various scenarios, and sometimes you're not really happy with the outcome. And anyway, I presented to Bruce, John and Steve these etchings, because they're scratched into copper, and then they have ink, and then they're pressed in. So this is actually an etching. And I found about 20 of Michael's etchings, and I showed them to the band. I didn't tell them, hey, he's my girlfriend's father who died last year. You know, I didn't give them any clue who it was, because I wanted an honest reaction. If you don't like it, it's fine. You don't have to say you like it because of my relationship to Michael. And they all, within 5 minutes, they said, yeah, we love this, I like this one. And within 5 minutes, we had our front cover. I've never been in a band that could pick a front cover in 5 minutes. So it had the same effect on them as it did with me. When I saw the etchings, I thought, wow, this would be fantastic. You don't see many bands with contemporary art on their cover. So it's going to stand out. It's going to be different from all the other albums you see on iTunes or you see on Spotify or Amazon or whatever.
Yes, and it really suits the music. It's great. Gavin, a lot of people heard you at first with the band Porcupine Tree. Earlier this year, there's been a special release of In Absentia, the first Porcupine Tree album that you played on. What are your memories of this album? Did you realize back then, you know, that there was something special going on, that the band was on its way up?
No. You know, I'd been friends with Richard Barbieri for a long time, and he told me he was in this band, this progressive rock band, and I actually went to see them in 2001. And so when Richard called me, they were having an emergency because Chris Maitland, the previous drummer, had left the group, and 3 or 4 weeks later, they were booked into a fantastic studio in New York called Avatar, and they had to record their In Absentia album. So Richard said, guys, I know the drummer, Gavin, who's a good session drummer, he could do this. So they called me, and within 1 month I was in the studio playing the songs. It was just like, you know, a session. I liked the music, and I liked the guys, and I liked how I could fit inside the music. So, you know, a relationship started, and by the time they finished the record and came back from New York, they asked me to join the band.
Great. You also play in King Crimson, and this really special lineup, you know, where there's 3 other drummers. We saw you play in Quebec City at Palais Montcalm. Wonderful shows. You're the one who orchestrated those songs for 3 drummers. Tell me, how is it to play with 2 fellow drummers?
A nightmare. Well, you know, you could see it as a nightmare, or you could see it as an opportunity to try to do something different. King Crimson is probably the only band in the world that you could do literally anything. Robert said to me, I want you to just play whatever you've always wanted to play in a rock band, but were never allowed to. And so there are no rules. Make up your own rules. He said, I want you to reinvent rock drumming, and I want you to arrange for three drummers. And that's very hard to do without the other two drummers here. At the time, it was Bill Riflin, who lived in Seattle, and Pat Mastelotto, who lives in Austin, Texas. So, you know, I have a studio here, so I recorded myself 3 times to see if the parts could work together. But it's one thing me playing it 3 times, it's another thing when you hear 2 completely different drummers who've got a different style with a different sounding drum set. It's a much more complicated and different picture when you put the 3 of us together. So 2014, Bill and Pat came here into my studio and we set up 3 kits, and we just tried some of the ideas, tried some of the parts. Some things worked, some things didn't work, and we were learning how to make 3 drum kits be musical, like it's 1 drummer with 6 arms and 6 legs, rather than 3 drummers playing on top of each other, which isn't really interesting. So you can do interesting things. It takes a lot of experimenting and a lot of creativity to find good solutions. And really, it probably took about 2 or 3 years of that version of the band until we really started to understand what kind of things worked and what kind of things were just too much noise.
Yes, and it was really, it's an impressive beast to see it on stage. Yeah, your first visit at Palais Montcalm with Pineapple Thief in 2019 was a complete success. Do you have particular memories of that show?
Yeah, it's the most beautiful venue we ever played. And I remembered the venue from being there with King Crimson 2 or 3 years before, because we actually rehearsed at that theatre for 4 or 5 days, and then probably we did 3 shows.
3.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful venue. It's a proper venue. You know, in Pineapple Thief, we play a lot of clubs, which are sometimes, you know, really dirty, funky clubs with 1 toilet and, you know, horrible backstage and nothing works. But of course, that beautiful venue in Quebec, everything works. It's like a perfect venue. So we were a little bit spoiled because it was the first night of our tour. So we started with a fantastic venue, and then things kind of went down, sometimes went down. So yeah, having been there twice, I love it. And it's in such a nice position right next to the old town. I mean, the venue is a dream come true, really.
Great. Well, I thank you very much, Gavin. That was really, really interesting. And hope to see you on tour next year in Quebec City at Palais Montcalm.
I hope so. Okay, thank you.